Greetings everyone, it's me, Kurt. How you doing? Welcome back. So today for my interview series we are doing a man who's had a tremendous impact on my life. A man who for many moons didn't actually call me by my real name, but instead called me Chert. A man who said that our birthdays were too close together, so therefore only one of them could be celebrated a year. In most cases, his. A man who locked me out of the basement and pretended to build a robot that I wasn't allowed to see. And most importantly, a man whom I love quite dearly. None other than my father.
Fuck!
My dad has a massive collection of comic books, and he's also an intense, unapologetic,
I'm proud of my hobby. I read fucking comic books.
with intense opinions.
I only read comics at, stop it, 1979. You're in your bubble, and I'll come visit you on your grave and piss on it.
But also some valuable insight.
The minute you stop growing is the minute you start dying.
I assure you that shots will be fired
You know what? You can take the Kevin Smith fans, you can, again, put them in a fucking corner.
and burns will be given.
I will not use, by the way, I will not use the word graphic novel. You can shove that word solely in your ass.
So in the description there's a first aid kit, some bandages, and an anti-burn cream in case you walk away from this a little hurt. Without further ado, here's the old man himself, Edward Indovina.
I put on my Justice League t-shirt and my shorts, my cargo shorts, so I can look like a Kevin Smith asshole. This is giant size X-Men #1. This is, to many people, another holy grail. I read this comic so much when it came out, literally the cover fell off. It's one of my prized possessions. Captain Marvel Adventures #31. The adventure takes place in Buffalo, New York. To me, it was so important. And it changed the entire landscape of comics because it introduced an international team of X-Men. Defenders is probably my favorite story of all time.
Know how much this comic book is worth?
I really don't. I don't know how much a comic book is worth, and in all honesty, I could care less. Again, people be crying, there's no cover, it's not worth anything. Again, I really don't care what it's worth.
Did you go to the comic book store today?
No, I did not.
When do you go usually?
Once every other week.
Once every other week.
Yeah.
You don't go on Wednesdays though, like everyone else.
No, I don't go on Wednesdays. I mean, that's why I have a pull list. Pull lists are for guys like me who, work all day and they're able to walk in. I'm a guaranteed sale. I mean, honestly, collecting's pretty easy nowadays. It's different from when I was a kid. I used to have to get on my bike and I used to ride between 3 and 4 drugstores every weekend. Drive.
So if one didn't have the issue?
Well, none of them. Nobody had full, complete runs. Yeah, I started reading comics probably around 7 or 8 years old. My father used to. My father loved the art form itself, and so my father used to actually bring home comic books, and he would read them, and then I would read them. My father bought the very first issue of Heavy Metal magazine.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, very first issue of Heavy Metal magazine.
What year was that?
Back when it came out, 77, I think, 77,
okay.
78. I actually still had that. Well, no, my oldest son, Travis, has that.
Travis, come on. Fucking, where is it? Frame it.
When I started reading comic books, I went to school and the teacher asked me, she said, what are you reading? I said, comic books. And she called my mother in for a meeting. And she decided to start berating my mother for letting me read comic books. And my mother looked at her and says, he's reading. That's all that counts, is that he's reading. So it was ingrained in me at a very early age.
Damn, Skippy.
Yeah.
Oh, and then of course you just spilled it onto your other kids.
Well, yeah, I mean, I spilled it on my other kids. I mean, and then, fortunately, my children read the comics, and, that's why I said, the comics in those boxes are not sacred. They've all been read, and they've all been read probably numerous times, and that's by different people. My 3 children read them. My nephews and nieces have read them. My children's friends have read them. I do not consider myself a collector. I enjoy comic books like I do anything. Like, I mean, right here, it's right here on my stand. I mean, to this day, I mean, to me, books, heroic fiction is honestly, it's a great American art form. Comic books are an American art form. They're probably one of the rare few purely American art forms. Now, that's not to say that the Parisians or the Italians didn't,
That's what I was about to say.
or the Japanese take it to the next level. They did. I mean, You know, in Italy you had the fumettis. You still have the fumettis. In Japan, of course, everybody knows manga. You know, which is probably the biggest form of the particular art form of serialized artistic work. I will not use, by the way, I will not use the word graphic novel. You can shove that word solely in your ear.
Oh, you could swear.
Okay, you can shove that word solely in your ass, because all that fucking word is, it's a word created by mealy-mouthed little worms who are not proud of their hobby. I'm proud of my hobby. I read fucking comic books. I love comic books. It's not a graphic novel. Okay, I don't need to make myself sound important. I also don't need to make the art form sound important. Okay, it's a comic book. Okay, I don't mean to harp, but that's one of the, that phrase irritates me to no end, because
it's like it's making the medium
it's
self-important.
It's like people that try to label music. You know, I listen only to progressive jazz. All right, it's jazz, you asshole. It's a different form of jazz. Okay, I listen to death metal. It's a different form of metal. Okay, enough. Sorry.
No, you should be unapologetic.
I am unapologetic. I am unapologetic. I mean, that's it. But back.
But the thing is, you're an older guy who's been reading comics for decades.
I've been reading comics for over 40 years of my life.
For decades. So you're now in this funny time period where it's finally mainstream. Not that comic books weren't necessarily, and you could probably argue this because you've seen it, were never not mainstream, but it's to a point where it's now normal.
Comic books, in my opinion, have become, how do you put this? Well, it's what uncool people hang on to make themselves sound cool. Back in the 70s and 80s, we were considered geeks and nerds. And I used to tell my kids, be proud of your geekdom. Just don't let it overshadow the rest of your life. You have to have balance in life. And again, one of the things that annoys me is this typical cliche of the comic book fan with a t-shirt that doesn't fit over his belly, and he wears the cargo shorts. And you know what? You can take the Kevin Smith fans, you can, again, put them in a fucking corner. Comic book fans are not all like that. And it's also not a hobby for you to just hang on to. Oh, I know comic books. I read that one. Okay, fine. All right? You know what? Comic books isn't about that. Comic books is about the storytelling. Okay, it's about the artwork, and it's about the blend of storytelling and artwork. Comic books, like I said, they're the new cool. They're the new cool, which, as you can tell, as I just said, I'm really on the fence of. To me, it's like, okay, so you're a comic book fan. I appreciate that. I appreciate you coming into my world. Okay, and it's not my world, it's our world. Okay, I've always welcomed people into the comic book. But I will tell you this, I do remember when I attended the very first Big Apple Con. It took place in the Roosevelt Hotel, and there was maybe 40 or 50 of us. And now, the last time I attended the New York Comic Con, which was 3 years ago, you couldn't even move. Is it a good thing? Yes, it's a good thing. I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy to see that the industry is growing up. I'm unhappy with the hanger-ons. I mean, I really don't care what you know. Just enjoy the comic with me. I really don't care that the movie doesn't, and it's like these movie critics, these amateur movie critics, Ain't It Cool News and Rotten Tomatoes, and everybody thinks they're so important. Well, here's how you get important. Why don't you write your own movie about a comic book? See how good it is. Fuck! Again, I digress. It's a wonderful age I live in.
Marvel, DC, all those, it's irrelevant to you. For the most part, this is always a tricky question for all readers.
No, it's not a tricky question for me.
So
my collection is Marvel, DC, First Comic, Eclipse Comics, any comics, Image Comics, any comics that are well written or even badly written. I've bought them and I've tried them, and I make sure to myself I buy myself one comic that's not on my pull list. The minute you stop growing is the minute you start dying. Okay, so anybody that says, I only read comics, said, stop at 1979. All right, well, then God bless you. You're in your bubble, and I'll come visit you on your grave and piss on it.
You clearly have read everything.
I read every comic.
And that's
And plus.
that's your philosophy. That it always comes back down to be a reader, not a collector. You have these things because you love them, not because they have
Intrinsic
financial value.
right.
Yeah.
Right. The comic books do not have an intrinsic value to me.
Yeah.
It's the art form that appeals to me, and I love. I love looking at art. I love looking at sequential storytelling. Some guys took that to a level beyond levels. Guys like Will Eisner, Jack Kirby.
Do you do you know how many comic books you have offhand? Do you care? I mean,
I don't really know how many comic books I have. I really don't really care. I do and I don't. I care when I got to move them. It's all about reading. It's all about the reading.
all right. I think we hit the point.
No,
That's it.
that's it. I mean, look at this stuff. Come on, look at this stuff. This is how important comics are. You got the artists of Little Annie. Okay.
All right.
All right. I feel like a putz. Did it go?
No, that was amazing.